Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spodcast. I'm Joe, and with me is Great Caesar's ghost. It's Charles, and with us, it's allow me allow me to do an impression. Parker, get me those damn photos. It's Alice with us.
Hello.
I'm sorry,
Hello.
I just had to. Anyway,
Oh, that was brilliant.
Hipster photo, hipster photo. I shall take all the hipster photos.
Anyway, recently it was around sort of last Saturday. There was the Manchester MCM Expo, and we managed to get Charlotte and Alice managed to get down there to basically give us the news and insight which came from it. So, do either of you want to start on that?
You got the down though.
Alrighty then. I was one of the first five. I actually stayed overnight at my nan's place just so I could get there first thing 8 in the morning. Me and my brother were there, and we were probably one of the first 20 or so people in line. We had our early tickets, and it was just like in half an hour already the line had extended 10 times as long, and we were like, "Wow, we're so glad we got the early tickets."
Gosh, yeah. I only turned up at about 10:30, 11 in the morning because I had to get the train from Chester, where I was staying, to get into Manchester, and the queue was incredible.
Yes,
A
it
friend
was.
of ours from Aberystwyth doesn't live in Aberystwyth, but he went to Aberystwyth University with us, Tom.
Mm.
He was in line for a good 2 hours.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Oh, and the crowd only got bigger by lunchtime. If you went outside, people were having a own little convention outside because there was no room inside. There were just all these people as far as you could see, and it's like they're holding like an outside camp or some sort of rock concert out here. It was
I am seeing
brilliant.
Manchester.
Yeah, it was epic. But yes, I was one of the first to get in, and this is a very funny story. My brother came along with his friends. I went on the left side. He and the others went on the right, and we circled and kind of met up in the middle where we did like an 8 figure like that. And I was so pissed off at them. Because when I did get to the right hand side, I was walking through all the stores, and they had these My Little Pony stuff, and it was like actual toys where from Friendship is Magic, where you can brush the hair, you can get badges and stuff like that. And it was like, that's interesting, but I can get that in shops just about anywhere. I ran into them at lunch, and these guys were holding these gorgeous plushies of Rainbow Dash and Applejack, and I was like, where the hell did you get those? Oh, we bought them. I didn't see any. Yeah, they went in like 5 minutes. They were £40 each. You paid £40 for that, wouldn't you? Yes, I would. Give it to me. Oh, I hated them. They're bronies.
Oh dear. So yeah, it sounds.
Oh yeah.
By the sounds of it, it sounds like there were a lot of interesting stuff, there to buy. So, quick rundown of what you guys bought.
Would you like to go first, Charles?
Okay, if you want. I'm a badges fanatic. I love to collect badges. I like to put them on my bag. I like to put them on my hat. Actually, on the side note, I was actually walking around in my lovely fedora and notebook, and I felt like a proper reporter while I was there. I got a whole bunch of badges. I got a Harry Potter badge. I got a wonderful Spider-Man badge. I got these various other things, including the Red Dwarf one, but it said Smeghead instead. And my absolute favorite one, though, I lost it going home on the train. It was my Rainbow Yowie badge, and I lost
Oh,
it. It's
oh,
the one badge I liked out of all of them, and I lost it. It was like, why can I lose Harry Potter? But yes, other than that, I went to, I think it's called Tofu Sweets or Tofu Cafe or something like that, and I bought all Pocky. I bought these cute little chocolate ice cream snack things that are like size of your fingernail, and they are quite nice. Again, they don't really have good English chocolate like we do, but it was good enough. Other than gorging on sweets, what else did I do? What else did I do? I finally got the double pack DVD of Summer Wars and The Girl Who Let Through Time. Everyone's been telling me to watch it, and I finally said I'm buying it. And lastly, this one involves a very funny story. I was walking down the art gallery, or well, the web comic things where everyone had their stands out and they were trying to sell their merchandise of their online comics. And as I was walking by, this one really got my attention. It was called Twisted Dark, and the author was there signing all these books and that. And I went up to this little stand thing where all the books were being set upright, and I picked one out and I kind of read through the first issue, and it sounded very interesting. I tried to put it back, and it collapsed, and all the books went everywhere. And I was like, "Oh dear God, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry." And he was like, "No, that's okay, that's okay." And I was like, "I'm really sorry." So in the end, I actually ended up buying the book, and he not only did he sign it, he wrote in it, and I have it here, quote for quote, "Charlotte, you only bought this because you broke my stall." Smiley face. Yes, and I loved it. He said, "You only bought it because it was £5." Yes, yes, I did. If I was really guilty, I would have bought your second one, but that was £15. So no, I'm not that guilty. But
Do you
yes,
want to do you want to give a shout out to the poor guy in question?
yes. Again, there was two of them. I'm not actually sure which one was the author, but the author is Neil Gibson, in which case I am so, so sorry I broke your stall. But the moment I turned around anyway, you had a backup one to pub, so I'm really not that sorry anyway.
What's the name of the what's
Twist,
the name of the
Twisted
what?
Dark Volume 1.
Ah, okay,
It's a
all right.
it's a black and white comic, and it's full of these short mini stories of not particularly horror per se, but it's kind of these psychological rides. I mean, you go through it and you don't really realize the stories are connected till you get further in, and you're like, oh, so that character knew that guy from this story, and that person's related to this character, and it eventually starts linking together. It's quite interesting. It likes to mess with the mind.
Okay,
So,
right.
Twisted Dark, read it.
Cool.
So that's your events. That's what you managed to get. Alice, what did you manage to get?
Oh, Charlotte has a weakness for badges. Mine is models. I love models so much. I have way too many, and I love them so much. So it was actually quite a good expo for models. So one thing I've noticed usually happens with the MCM expos. I've been to a couple of the London ones, a couple of the Telford ones. This is my first going to the Manchester one, as the Manchester one is only in its second year this year. But I went to that. One thing I noticed pretty much every year in London rather, you are guaranteed to find Naruto stuff, Bleach stuff, Death Note stuff, One Piece stuff. They will always be there. Always. Way too much. You'll feel like you're drowning in it. The Manchester boat actually had rather more for slightly more obscure series. They're not obscure as in, you know, you've probably never heard of it, but obscure as in they're not the mainstream. They're not shown on Cartoon Network kind of thing.
They're not part of the Shonen Jump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Quella Magi Madoka Magica is very, very popular, but the last expo I went to, which was Telford, there was nothing there. Admittedly, it takes a very long time for merchandise to trickle over to Britain, but still, there was nothing. And this year, and at Manchester, there was quite a lot going on for Madoka. There were a couple of Persona 4 models. I bought one of them because my love for Yukiko knows no bounds. If they'd had any models of, if they had the one coin figures of Yosuke in a skirt, I so would have bought that, but alas, no cross-dressing for me. The Yaoi wasn't there. That was wonderful.
Oh.
Yes,
I
the
hate the
Yaoi was
Yaoi.
not there.
Pardon?
I actually find that very interesting. So one of the things I learned from Telford is that if you go there one time, they'll have the yaoi stand. You go there another time, they'll have the hentai stand instead. And here, there wasn't either of them. And that was very interesting because they're normally always there. And I realized that when the guy came up to my brother's friends and said, "Do you know what the hentai stand is?" That I realized in the outside world, you get your porn, you're shunned for it. In this convention, you can be walking around with your little child and no one will bat an eyelid at the fact you are reading hentai. It's really weird concept, isn't it?
I would. I'm gonna lie, I would. Apparently there was a stall selling some hentai dojin, but they were some of the considerate ones that put thick pieces of plastic in front of the covers. So if you are an 8-year-old child wandering around, you won't suddenly get really badly drawn tits in your eyeline. But the yaoi guy is this person who turns up to all the London cons all the London expos I've been to, who just shouts really obnoxious things and sells yaoi paddles. And do you know that guy?
Yes. Yes, I remember him.
I remember
he's
him.
awful. He sells
remember-
LGBTQ flags as yaoi flags, and if he sees two dudes walking past together, he shouts at them. He shouts lewd things at them, even if there are children nearby. There have been many complaints about him, especially of his treatment of trans people at cons. But he's absolutely atrocious, and I was so glad not to see him at Manchester, especially as I was walking around with 2 small children.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so...
That was lovely.
Yes. Anyway, back on topic. What did you manage to get at the expo? Yes.
Well, there was quite a nice little stand selling Lolita clothes, which I've recently gone into, and from there I bought this lovely little mini hat that was great because I left all my mini hats in Aberystwyth, and it was a really nice one with a black rose and a little veil on it. Very, very pretty. I bought volume 1 of the Sailor Moon manga, which I was never into Sailor Moon as a child, which I figure makes me a really, really bad manga reading feminist. So, Sailor Moon, it's very, very cute, very silly, but the art is so wonderful.
It's apparently getting a remake in terms of animated, isn't it?
I know, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, it actually needed a remake because the story was quite mature and dark in places, but they really dumbed it down in the dub.
Well, of course they had to. Really, this was sort of.
Yes, but this was sort of the point of annoyance. Where I don't think they were just looking at the episode and going along with what they were seeing. I don't really think they took in what each episode was about.
Yeah, it was one of the Cool Kids style dubs. They changed the main character's name. I can't remember to what. They changed the lesbians to cuns. That kind of thing. The reason I never liked Sailor Moon as a child was because I watched like 3 episodes of that dub and went nope.
Yes.
And just never got into Sailor Moon.
Yes,
but now I'm giving it another try. The manga's lovely.
Not to mention the most obvious one. Throughout the entire first season, they are looking for the Moon Princess because they have no idea where she is, but they know she's been reincarnated on Earth and they need to find her. And it's like, Sailor Moon is the Moon Princess. No, she's not. No. Look at the open when it goes. She is the one named Sailor Moon. She is in the dress with the crescent moon on her forehead with the staffing, and she's finding with her friend Saporna. She's the Moon Princess. No, she's not. Yes, she bloody is. That was the biggest spoiler ever. Although I think
otherwise known as padding. Anyway.
Yes, but I think otherwise you could probably figure it out for yourself because, I mean, her name is Sailor Moon. I mean, the Moon Princess has the same hairdo. I think you could have figured it out anyway.
So, apart from the Sailor Moon manga, the little hat, and the models you got, did you get anything else at all?
So I did buy a couple of... bought a couple of models. I bought one model of Yukiko Amagi from Persona 4, specifically the anime model. It's not a Figma, I can't remember which series it's from, but it's just a really nice model of Yukiko, looking really elegant, standing to one side. The only models from that set were of Yukiko and her best friend, Chie. But unfortunately all the Chies had sold out by the time I got to that store. They were gone within about an hour of me arriving there. They were very popular.
Yeah, is it just me or was the actual figure stand actually smaller than the one in Telford? I think it was.
It was more memorable than the one in Telford because the figure stand I remember at Telford, they don't have much of a variety.
Well, that's true.
Is the thing which doesn't really please me because I don't really like shonen series. I'm more into the girly things. But it was definitely a smaller stand, but it managed to have a lot more different series packed onto it. I mean, we saw this one model which was of Aegis from Persona 3, and it was a £100 model. Like, it was priced at £100. It was one of the super rare, super beautiful ones, like where they only make about 2,000 of them, that kind of thing. And they had one of those, and that by the time we circled back to that stall again, it had gone.
Wow.
Christ.
Just like My Little Pony. I wanted my Twilight Sparkle.
But Tesco
Okay.
is
I will
good to
not.
get for Twilight Sparkles.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
but these were the proper big ones that look like very well-made plushies, the type you don't see in shops. And it was just like, why aren't these in
Oh,
shops? They would sell like hotcakes, even if they were 40 pounds a
and they
piece.
have made My Little Pony Friendship is Magic plushies. I'm not sure when they're coming out, but there are photos of them around.
Huh.
You know what I want? I want My Little Pony Friendship is Magic hand puppets.
Aw.
I
Yes!
think that would be awesome, just to sort of have, I don't know, sort of go to sort of go to kids' parties and do sort of a puppet show with the different sort of ponies and stuff like that.
Now I'm just imagining an episode where just for 5 seconds one of them gets out a Pinkie Pie gets out a puppet of one of the others and starts doing funny stuff and that'd be awesome just for a 5 minute second clip.
So what sort of voodoo sort of hand puppet or something like that?
Yes, well, hoof puppet.
Yes,
Yes,
of course, yeah.
but yeah, I can just see you taking maybe out like a Rainbow Dash or Twilight Sparkle and just kind of bitching at the other ponies, just kind of mocking them. That'll be funny.
Anyway, that's an idea for potentially for season 5 if anybody is listening.
Maybe, yes.
Yes. Okay, so we've managed to get what we've got.
No, I didn't quite finish.
Oh yes, of course.
I got two. I bought one. There was quite a lot of Magica, Palometa Madoka Magica little blind box things, which were really neat.
Okay.
I bought one, which is a little keyring. I managed to get the character Kyoko Sakura, and then I bought the mini Nendoroid, which was also Kyoko Sakura. So
You spent more than I did.
I've ended up with 2 Kyokos, which I don't mind, as she is a really lovely character. But now I have to get a Sayaka to go with her. Have to.
Yes, you've got no choice. It has to be so.
Exactly. Same as when I had my Ciel Phantom Hive, I had to buy a Sebastian to go with him.
Mm.
It just must be done.
That in no way was planned at all. Anyway. Okay. So you managed to. So we talk about what we've got. Let's move on to Alice. You managed to. Was there anything? Was there anything to do with Was this is a Western animation sort of podcast? Was there anything to do with sort of Western animation movies or TV shows at all, or something like that? I know there probably won't be any sort of big reveals like My Little Pony season 3 or anything like that. But was there anything? Was there anything at all which was there and interesting?
Well, there were quite a few adverts for a film called Paranorman,
Oh,
which
yes, I've
looks to
seen
be
that.
a bit like I'm not sure what it's like, but from the impression the adverts gave, it looked to me a bit like a Tim Burton light film for your faintly gothic child.
Yes, I've seen the entire trailer. I can pretty much predict what this movie is about. It's about a kid that lives in this typical American kind of subside. It's kind of like the type of thing you see in Super 8. Did any of you see that film? Yeah, that's
Super 8, that was brilliant.
yes, that's actually the setting of it. Um, this kid is what you expect. He comes from a normal family. The kid's weird. The family doesn't want him to be weird, but the kid's like, this is who I am. And the fact is, what makes him so different is the fact he can see dead people. And he has the loser best friend. His older sister hates him. Everyone hates him. And you just know what's going to happen. A zombie uprising, or I think he causes something. It's his fault. So he causes something that causes these ghosts to come out. And you just know it's his weirdness that's going to save the day. The family's going to change their mind about him because you did something great. Suddenly, we love you because apparently love is not unconditional. It is conditional in movie land. And you just know the fact that that's the type of thing that's always bugged me as well. It's never these type of films. It's never the person being the hero and save the day. It's literally them cleaning up their own mess but being praised for it. That's always bugs me about films.
It's something about taking responsibility, isn't it? It's always about okay, you've done something wrong, so now you've got to clean up your own mess or something like that.
Yes, but still, things like that bug me when it's just like, yeah, your weirdness is what saved the day, and now we love you for it. And it's just like, oh dear God, this was your own son, your own brother. I think you should love him unconditionally despite his weird gothicness, even though he's not really gothic. But yes, you can pretty much predict the movie from the trailer.
I think that's something that pops up a lot in America. It's just for the you must conform. Or
Indeed.
if you're going to be different, it has to be in an acceptable, kooky way.
Yes. Yes, I
So much for Land of the Free.
yeah.
Anyway.
I actually wrote down the list of all the films they were advertising there. Um,
No do tell.
do tell they're still promote. For some reason, I keep seeing the posters for Snow White, even though that's already been seen. Everyone's already talked about it to death. The Twilight Girl is in Snow White. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't brilliant either. It was an okay film. It's something you watch once, then don't buy it on DVD. People they didn't mind watching it. But the other one is I think it's just called Ted. And have you seen the trailer where it's just like this teddy bear comes to life and it's all adult humor, it's all that.
Yeah,
It's
I've do tell, Alice.
I was going to say, it's completely unnecessary. There are so many films along those lines anyway, just... Why? I know... Well, I know technically why, because they make lots of money. It's got Seth MacFarlane from the creators of Family Guy, but do we seriously need more things with that sense of humour?
The thing is that... Oh, sorry, Sean.
Sorry, do you want to go first?
Oh, okay. I kind of think that it's just Seth MacFarlane going, okay, what's popular at the moment? Foul-mouthed humour. How can I best sort of make it so that... How can I best sort of add sort of a fantastical twist to it? I'll make it come out of a teddy bear's mouth.
And then it would be funny because teddy bears are supposed to be innocent.
Yes.
Okay, this is why I'm about to surprise you. Obviously, I already hate this movie. I'm not going to see it. But I see the logic behind it, and I see why it's good at what it is. We all saw the Easter Bunny, where this was clearly a kid's film set in the world. It's the Easter Bunny whose father, okay, he's the soon-to-be Easter Bunny because he's son of the actual Easter Bunny, and it's this whole he wants to be a drummer, he wants to be a rock star, so he leaves his responsibility behind and goes into the human world. You all saw that film? Oh, heard of it at least?
I heard of it, couldn't stand seeing it because
yes,
I really enjoyed Despicable Me, and it made me sad to see the studio then start resorting to this gimmicky, unoriginal awfulness.
Yes, but I can see what the Easter Bunny does, but did it better due to the fact Easter Bunny was clearly aimed at children, even though it was crude. It had a bunny lusting over a human girl. Ted knows its audience, and it's using that to its advantage because this is a comedy for adults. It's about a bear who is foul. He smokes, he drinks, for some reason women find a teddy bear sexy for some reason, and it's all adult humor. I hate all this, mind you. I hate it, but I see the logic behind it because it is what Easter Bunny should have been. It had all that adult humor in for this actual, not necessarily adult film. And I'm rambling here, but I can see the logic behind it. I don't like it, but I see the logic.
I see the logic, but I know I have a vendetta against shows like Family Guy anyway, because it's really marginalized Western animation. In our Western society, animation is either for kids or students, because as we know, students, we have nothing to do and are childish.
Of course.
Or it's
except fail our exams.
Adult humor. Pardon?
Except fail our exams.
Except fail our exams. Exactly. Or it's this adult humor in which, farting at someone is funny. Making a joke about boobs is funny.
Yep.
Being victim blaming is funny. That kind of ridiculous awfulness. I get very feminist about this adult humor, because it's not adult humor, is it? It's juvenile male humor. It's never aimed at women in any way, except for Bridesmaids, which I've not seen, but I've heard was actually interesting in that it was a gross-out comedy about women. And it actually managed to, be quite appealing to its female audience and be funny, as well as being a bit gross out with embarrassing stories about poo and periods and stuff like that.
I think the main problem with these sort of shows like Family Guy is because of the fact they start. I actually liked sort of some episodes of Family Guy in the same way that I like some episodes of South Park, in the fact that it is at the start it sort of starts off as this very juvenile humour, but halfway through the middle of it, it gets this very sort of becomes quite topical and on the nose and so on and so forth, and very sort of. But with South Park, it actually goes into the sort of in depth about why this sort of thing is sort of dangerous and so on and so forth. Like, I still maintain that the best episode of the most recent South Park stuff was the human Sentai pad, but with stuff like Family Guy, it's because of the fact they become so quotable, and that's the reason why they're so popular. It's because everybody sort of knows the show and knows all the characters and so on and so forth, and so they just watch the next stuff, and that's why they become popular. Not necessarily about the quality, but it's more about the fact that they're just popular.
We still got a list of films to go through. Shall we
Oh,
move
yes.
on then?
Yes. Anyway, back
Okay.
on topic. Thank you, Charles.
Okay. One of the other ones I want to get through rather quickly because this is gonna be another one I don't want to see either. It's called The Watch, and it's just another one of those Ben Stiller films where he and his friends get together, act like a bunch of jackasses, and it's the same humor. You know where it's gonna go. But the thing is, they're part of a neighborhood watch, and really, here's the twist. I'm assuming it's trying to be like Attack the Block, where it takes these complete idiots, Mars, and the aliens invade, and they have to save the day. But where Attack the Block was brilliant in its characters, I can already see this is going to go downhill rather quickly. Because the moment Attack the Block was on, I hated these kids straight away the moment they kind of mobbed the nurse character. But once you went through their story, you really did like them. Here, I did not get to see that happening.
Yeah. Do you mind if I just do my statement on that particular film?
Sure.
Yeah. Why? Anyway.
You didn't like it?
Yeah. I liked Attack the Block. I watched that and I thought it was a really, really interesting film because of the fact that the protagonists were so unlikable towards the start, but they eventually grew on you.
Mm-hmm.
But by the sounds of this, it just doesn't sound that good at all.
No.
So, of course, I'm going to be reserving judgment until I actually see the film.
Oh, well, if you're not actually going to see it, then I don't have to see it, so thank you.
It does sound very, very like... I know how Hot Fuzz films like that, where you've got the, fish out of water kind of thing. In America, it seems to be more, let's put all these fish in water and watch them insult people and be awful, and we will find that hilarious.
It sounds like you're just describing Shark's Tale, if I'm honest.
Oh, dear God, Shark's
Tale.
Tale. No.
Will Smith fish.
I was actually going to talk about the offensive Jamaican jellyfish, if I'm honest, but oh well.
It's been so long since I've seen Shark Tale. All I can remember is how terrifying the Will Smith fish was. Oh, Will Smith. Just go back. Go back to your home in Bel Air.
Okay, crossing that off the list. Another one was Taken 2. Did any of you see the original Taken?
I saw bits and pieces of the original Taken. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay, for folks who don't know, Taken is literally one of those this guy's daughter is literally kidnapped while she's abroad in Europe on a holiday with her friend, and it's part of this. What was the whole thing? I think it was part of a prostitution thing going on there. Yeah.
It was probably a prostitution racket, which doesn't really make sense if you think of Europe. I mean, not whereabouts was it? Sort of in the original movie, whereabouts was she holidaying?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. It completely slipped my mind. Quick, Wikipedia search.
Yes. Anyway, we'll come
there
back.
is a problem with young women being put in prostitution rings in lots of Europe, but they're illegal immigrants mainly, or just plain old immigrants. There's not people aren't really in the habit of kidnapping, wealthy Western white tourists with Liam Neeson as their dad, and then trying to sell them off. Much easier to go for the immigrants who have nothing. So already, I didn't see this film, but already I'm poking holes in its plot.
Yes. There was this whole thing in one of the more recent games which came out, which was Call of Juarez the Cartel, which I remember mainly because of the fact Extra Credits did a huge episode on it, which was about how the fact the game basically framed the whole idea of illegal prostitution, about how the fact the Mexican cartels was stealing American women and taking them over the border to sell to Mexican drug lords, which is it's such a perversion of what actually happens over
Yeah,
there.
welcome to Backwards Bizarro World.
Yes.
Just
Also, on a random note, I got it. She and her friend are in Paris, but they're kidnapped by an Albanian human trafficking. Just thought I'd say that.
as
Okay,
if
no.
as if the Albanian immigrants in Paris don't have enough to worry about, because I mean they all the only sort of they already have it hard enough as it is. I mean, I remember sort of wasn't one of the sort of French president's policies to sort of crack down on these immigrants fairly hard and basically make them second-class citizens or something. Sorry, just stuttering there. But yeah, it just sounds like yeah. Taken to it just sounds like really sound like one of those unnecessary sequels.
Well, the sequel goes in an opposite direction.
Ooh.
Obviously, the people he went through all this threatening people, breaking up rings, all that. He does really what the guy's doing is minimal because there will always be higher ups that say, "Okay, this section is gone. We'll just get another bunch in there," because he's he was threatening them to get back this one girl, but he wasn't hurting this underground organization. But the thing is, obviously they saw his face, they know who he is because I think he used to be CIA or something, but he's retired now. And the story is, they're not after any girl. The sequel is directly him because now their group is now coming after him, and it's like, why? I mean, sure, people do say like on drugs they do a drug bust and they get all the stuff that they're selling in this one little warehouse where they're doing all their business, but it doesn't hurt the organization itself because you're not even getting beneath the surface of it. I mean, the guy's not really a threat in that case. I think these guys are just holding one hell of a grudge.
Mm. Sort of a whole honour sort of thing. It's like they compromised our organisation. It's like every sort of every.
Sorry.
Sorry, continue, Alice.
Well, just that's not how it works. When it comes to crimes like this, I am by no means an expert in drug trafficking.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I don't think any of us are. I don't think any of us are.
But from what I've seen and read and so on, it's more a case of okay, this one dude a real drugs organization spans nations. It's huge and ridiculous because you've got to get the people who grow the drugs, who then sell the drugs, who then traffic the drugs, who then sell the drugs again.
Yes, again, this guy is doing no damage. I mean, the higher up shouldn't even be noticing there's a problem.
They would just in real world land. It's like they would go, oh, this guy cut off one head of our organisation. Never mind, we have another a couple of streets away. It's not as if it would affect them that much. It's just...
Yes,
I didn't know Liam Neeson in action films was in such high demand.
Yes.
It's Hollywood logic, anyway.
Yes, and to think, even in the original film, after all the trouble he went to get his daughter back, they'll be like, yeah, sure, if you're going this hellhound, we'll gladly give you your daughter back. We don't need her that desperately.
We've got plenty of other people, plenty of other women who we've caught and beaten and enslaved into sexual service. No, you can have your daughter back.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We made the mistake of kidnapping a rich white girl. Damn. We should have expected this. Maybe we should have gone for one of the, coloured immigrant women who no one's going to bother looking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would actually love to see a sort of... did anybody see Machete at all?
Oh, sorry, no.
No. I would love to see sort of an immigrant action movie of some kind. Or so it's either set in...
to see people of colour in Hollywood, to be honest. It's like this whole Taken thing would have been way more realistic and probably more, political and just a better film if it had been about, say, a Iranian father trying to find his daughter who went to Europe to find a better life for herself and has now been kidnapped and forced into prostitution.
I tell you who would make a pretty good star for that. It would actually be, I think, somebody like Denzel Washington would make quite a good star for an action hero like that.
Oh, yes.
Denzel Washington or possibly Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, for fuck's sake, if that's the case, you'll get fucking Morpheus after your ass. I think you'd give up fairly quickly.
Yeah. But exactly, why can't it be... Yeah. Why does this film have to be about a, attractive white girl being rescued by her macho white father? Why can we not get people of colour in Hollywood, even in roles that would
Even the
make
news
more
has
sense?
even the news itself points out that if, say, one colored person goes missing in Europe, yeah, that's not going to make news. One white blonde girl goes missing. That
Yeah.
is all over the place.
It's not
That was
just, people on holidays. You find it in, posters around, things on the news. This sweet little blonde white girl has gone missing. We don't really care about the black teenager.
Yes. I mean, if you disappear around your own area, that's kind of limited. It's not really that big news. If someone literally disappears while they're abroad, and that's like, that is very suspicious, isn't it? Yes, it is. Because then they assume kidnapping, they assume murder and stuff like that. While in your own neighborhood, they just feel like, huh, I wonder if they moved away or something.
Suddenly, in the very political episode of this podcast. Anyway,
Okay, I guess we should move on. Okay,
yes. Anyway,
I got
Charles, apart from Taken 2,
the
what other movies were there?
two last things on my list. One of them is an animated film. The other one is a live action. The live action one I'll go through very quickly. The Three Stooges. Has anyone heard of that remake yet?
I've heard of it, and I've heard some mixed things about it. If I'm honest, some people say they've managed to capture the sort of feeling of the Three Stooges. Other ones have basically said, "Oh God, why?"
Yes.
So
Well, obviously this is only from the trailer, but it looks like it captures what the Three Stooges were about. I mean, you're watching it, they're doing the whole slapstick comedy. You're looking at it thinking, okay, you put a piranha down his pants. I'm pretty sure he should not have a dick anymore, but whatever, be as slapstick if you want. I mean, these guys survive a drop off a building, whatever. But yeah,
mm,
I don't know what the actual plot is about, so I guess the plot could be where it fails.
yeah, potentially. Anyway, the animated feature, which I think, yeah,
The animated one is literally called Epic. That's how highly they're thinking of this movie. It's called Epic.
raised eyebrows here. Do tell.
Yes.
Tell more.
Okay. Even from this fast trailer, I can see what this is about. It's obviously begins with this looks like kind of a scientist in the middle of I'm not sure if it's meant to be a jungle or a forest, could be one or the other really, and he's looking around and a bird is falling out of the sky and he leaps out and grabs it. He looks at the bird, it's a cute little hummingbird, and he turns it over and notices it has a little sachet on its back for a riser to sit on, and you're like, oh, it's a tiny film. It's then you see them, and it's this tiny little borrowers people who are living in the forest. They got the whole leaf outfits. They got the tiny bow and arrows. They're riding on top of animals, and then the rest of the trailer goes on, and you're like, oh dear God, this. Because you see
It's
this.
Fangirly.
Yes, you see this. Humans on cute, colorful hummingbirds. The bad guys of the film are I only saw them for like a brief of a second, but they look like humanoid mouse people on top of here it comes, crows and ravens, and it's like, oh dear God, why don't you just give these guys evil twirly mustaches if you're going that far?
It's
I do,
Fangirly. That's basically Fangirly, except with less Tim Curry.
Yes, and if they were actually at war with another tiny society, but and obviously these aren't fairies because they can't fly, they fly on animals. But you're just looking at this going, could you be more obvious about who your villains are? You might as well put a sign over that says, these are the bad guys, you should hate them. I hate it when films, shows do that. Give me a legit reason to hate your society. Maybe they are literally bullying you, destroying your part of the forest because you have some sort of resource they want as well. I'm just looking at this going, oh dear God, let me guess, the cute little tiny humans are going to befriend the bigger humans and it's going to be cute and fluffy and it's going to be like, oh, look at those mean, ugly rat people. It's ridiculous. It is. I hate those films.
the first. I've got 3 points which I want to raise with that. The first is strictly a Warhammer reference. Do the rat people have warp lightning cannons at all?
I'm sorry, no, Joe.
No, they don't. Secondly, but the way you were describing it, part of me was thinking, did they just hand out acid tabs at that point and then suddenly just transport you? um,
Yes, I don't. Oh, come on! Even look at this. I'm reading the bloody description online. It says a deep battle in the forest between the forces of good and evil. Oh, fuck you! But yes, I'm reading more. It's by Fox Animation. It's actually based on a book by William Joyce, and it's called The Leaf Men and the Brave Good Bugs, which is actually kind of a cute title when you think about it.
it
I
does
wonder
sound
if
like
that's from the
something.
50s.
Yes.
Probably. And it's made by the same people who did Robots. Really, I think that's the only thing I can remember what those guys did.
Oh god, that was the yeah, I remember that movie.
Mm.
But yes, it sounds like one of those movies it sounds like one of those cheap popcorn flicks which you take sort of really young kids to see, and they don't have to think that much about
Yes.
it.
And you want to know why the only reason I'm watching this? Because the music was done by Danny Elfman. That's the only reason I want to see it.
Of course.
Of course. Danny Elfman, save this film for me. Or, well, maybe the film will be more mature than I'm giving it credit for. It is just a trailer after all.
Mm.
What? The Leaf Man and the Brave Good Bugs was from 1996. So, but then it is a very sort of 90s concept. I mean, here's Red Redwall, in
Oh
which,
yes,
yeah, the rats, weasels are always villains.
the vermin and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they're bad because they're bad. Because, rats and crows and stuff get really bad reps.
Mm.
Yes. And they're just so pretty, crows and ravens. I love them. I actually love where I live because crows are always circling the field outside my house, and it is beautiful. But yes,
Oh, the
apparently,
dude who wrote that book wrote episodes of Roly Poly Oly.
I did read this wrong. According from the description, the good guys are called Leaf Men, very original name. And they're battling the Spider Queen, and they weren't rats, they were goblins, apparently. Come on, the Queen's even a spider. That screams evil in itself.
I'd love to have a sort of some kind of animated movie where the sort of an actual proper sort of animated sort of movie about the sort of whole Fey children and actually have sort of pixie creatures and so on and so forth as the villains, sort of
Yes.
Yes.
kidnapping children and so on and so forth.
Old-fashioned fairies with an E.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going that far. I would like to do a proper legit elf film because I'm only going by Norse mythology here, but elves obviously Tolkien has basically defined what elves and dwarfs are like. But if you actually go through their mythology, obviously they are the beautiful, sexy women sort of thing. Only they differ because sometimes they're viewed as having fur from the waist downwards, like a fawn or something, and some of them even have cat or cow tails. But what makes them so intriguing, which everyone's forgotten about, is from the front they look like gorgeous women, then they turn around and their backs are literally cut open, and inside all you see is hollow flesh, rotting meat, and maggots crawling around them, and that's brilliant. And
Mm.
I really wish they bring it back.
Speaking of elves, actually, have you guys heard about who the villain for Thor 2 is?
Ooh, do tell.
It's going to be Malekith the Accursed, who is the prince, who is the Lord of the Dark Elves, who's sort of half dead. And the moment I saw that sort of online, I sort of yelled out, "Called it!" Because it was one of those villains in Thor who. I know everybody sees Loki and everyone sees the Frost Giants, and those are the sort of iconic villains. But Malekith the Accursed suits sort of a villain for Thor so well because of the fact he's got the same level of cunningness and cleverness, but he's also got this. Whilst Loki's got the whole sort of sense of being rejected from the gods, Malekith is actually properly outside the gods. He's got this whole alien view of the whole Asgardian sort of ideals and Earth ideals and so on and so forth. So having him as a villain would be fantastic.
I was hoping for Enchantress.
Oh, bless.
I know she's not a major villain, she mainly just turns up as sexy and fucks things over. But I was really hoping Enchantress would get on film.
Don't worry, Fu. Just hold out for 4-3, then you'll get your wish.
Hopefully, yes. Alternatively, they could go to Surtur, of course, who's of course the big fuck off demon thing in Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, who we never got to see in action.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay, we
So
got through all the films. Yes.
you've given us movie news. Alice, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, there was only Words, brain. Cosplay. That.
Yes.
Well, Charles was off doing the, official reporting thing. I was just wandering around looking at things because I am Peter Parker and therefore I am a hipster.
You make it sound like we've actually got a plan here, like we've actually set you off to do stuff.
It was unintentional, but I'm Peter Parker. I saw the Spider-Man film; it was amazing. Andrew Garfield has an amazing butt.
Yes,
Except when he was CG Spider-Man, they made his butt less attractive.
I wasn't
Why would you do
looking
that?
at the guy's butt. I mean, he got spandex, and I was never once looking at his body.
Well, neither was I, except for this one bit where when he was lying on the tarmac, and I was like, damn.
I'm sorry, which one of us is meant to be attracted to guys again?
Anyway.
If it helps, it was my girlfriend who pointed out how good his ass was.
Anyway, cosplay.
Sorry, Joe. But cosplay.
Yes.
I was noticing quite an interesting trend in Manchester Expo, and I don't know if it's because it's a slightly smaller expo, but basically when you go to London, about a quarter of the attendees will be Homestuck. I'm not joking. You will literally be drowning in Homestuck cosplayers. And there'll be a lot of Naruto, there'll be big groups of Bleach cosplayers, there'll be big groups of Italia cosplayers of various levels of quality.
Yeah.
But at Manchester, I saw only about 2 Kakeshis from Naruto. I didn't spot anyone from Bleach. I saw a handful of Homestuck cosplayers. Mainly the big cosplay phenomenon was Marvel, of course, because the Avengers film had just come out, and they were adorable children dressed as Avengers in those Disney costumes you can buy. Spotted baby versions of every single one of the Avengers except Natasha. But they were in little Spidey suits, little Iron Man suits, little Captain America suits. There was one child and a little Captain America baby grow. It was just really lovely to see a massive variety of cosplay for once. They were mainly obscure ones. I mean, there was even someone there cosplaying as Quasimodo's mum from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
You could actually notice that? I would never have pinpointed that.
I as a cosplayer, I tend to notice the trends. But the Italia cosplayers were really good. They were really nice costumes. Sorry, as someone who was in the Italia fandom for a very, very long time, I am saddened by the current state of it. And so when I see any hope that it's on the up, despite the fact Funimation is dubbing the awful, terrible film that should not exist.
I never could get into Italia.
I got into the webcomic first, before the anime came out, and so I was there to watch its slow and sad decline.
Aww.
But the anime has stopped being produced now, thankfully, bloody Studio Dean. But the film is being dubbed, and it's literally awful. I mean, it makes no sense. But if it made no sense for the sake of fan service, I'd be okay with it. Like, if it made no sense... I heard one person guessing at the plot long before it was ever released. Which they were guessing the aliens took over Earth and the Italia boys would have to go on dates with each other. And that makes no sense. But that's the fan service-y making no sense. So, I'll go with that. It's same as, I'll go with ridiculous plots for porn because, it's just go with it. It's porn. It obeys its own rules. But the Italia film, tries to make some sense of plot and everyone's wearing really odd costumes and it's not even funny and then it gets really kind of terrifying. And then they end with a dance number.
Sounds like a Bollywood movie, if I'm honest.
It's a really bad film. And of course Funimation are dubbing it because if anyone else is going to follow Studio Dean's example in trying to get every penny out of something, it is Funimation.
Anyway, yes. So
sorry.
Going on the lines of cosplay, there was a lot of Minecraft running about. You saw these people in the boxes and they were moving about and it was so cute to watch. And you saw, I forget what the guy's name, but it's the whole guy who's wearing a proper suit and he just has a little box head. And they were just going around saying, "This is a nice convention you got here. Be a shame if something were to happen to it." And it was just so cute. I forget his name, but it's cute.
The Slender, the monsters that are based on Slenderman.
Yes. Enderman.
Yes, Enderman.
Yeah, they were about as well. And oh dear God, I cannot believe I've already lost the name. There are these guys from the popular video game going about. I can't remember the title. I just know one side called the blue team, the other side is the red team.
Team Fortress
Team
2.
Fortress
Team
2.
Fortress, yes. I didn't see any of the red team, but the blue team were about and they did this awesome pose and it was brilliant and it's just like, yay! One of the guys is too short to be the whole big bulky guy, but yay!
Well, one of the
So basically, sorry, Alice.
I was just going to say, I did see a member of the red team wandering around. There was a lady red soldier wandering about,
Oh,
which
bless.
was very cool because she was quite short, but she was very angry looking. Just perfect for soldier.
So it's all sort of fits in
Yes.
then. Okay, so is that the general Manchester Con news?
I think that's everything I thought I was going to say.
Well, technically,
Possibly.
there's a whole lot else going on. Obviously, in terms of convention, they had everything they normally had in Telford. They had the Robot Wars thing, and true to popular fashion, every time I walk by, it's not on, but every time I turn away, I hear crowds cheering, which means the robots must be fighting. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
This time they did not have the back. Yes. This time they did not have the Back to the Future car, but they did have Knight Rider, and that was brilliant. It was awesome. And they also had, this was the brilliant part, they had one of the old Daleks, and it was standing in one corner of the room, but then by midday I was on the other side walking around, I think it was close to the belt buckles and the figurines, and it was literally moving about on itself, and everyone was getting out of the way as it moved by, and we weren't sure if it was remote control, if there was someone actually inside it. But the only thing that stopped it from being awesome was it saying "exterminate, exterminate." That would have been awesome. But yes, it was moving about, and it was so cute.
I did see it moving about, but I thought it was a cosplay. Oh, you know, a remote control thing someone had brought. I didn't realise it was one of the actual Daleks from the show.
Yes, that was actually brilliant. But yes, moving on, we mentioned games and stuff. I'm quickly going to go. We mentioned films. I'm going to quickly go on to games because this is all Eastern Japanese related, and I don't think Joe wants to focus on that. Um,
Yep.
there's another game from the Tales of series, and now we have Tales of Graces, which, true to fashion, stars a boy. This time is a prince. I think we've had princes several times before. I think it starts off when he's 7, and he and his friend come across this girl with amnesia. Everyone loves a good amnesia plot. And long story short, the girl ends up dying right before his eyes. Then it flash forwards several years later, where he's fully grown adult, and that's where the real story takes place. And they're not going to give away spoilers or anything because apparently the whole game is just story twist central, so it's full of spoilers. But I was one of the few people that jumped in line to get a trial of the game, and I played through the beginning, and true to opening fashion, it is gorgeous, the music is gorgeous, and it's just like, why don't you guys just make wonderful anime films? But yes, colorful people, many of the male guys look gay as hell, but that's what the fangirls are expecting. They're getting what they're paying for. They're still going on about Kid Icarus, even though it's come out. They're doing the whole trailers everywhere, and now they're really pushing it on their new 3DS XL, which, true to fashion, on the poster it says the biggest screen yet. Yes, it is the biggest screen yet. I no shit, Sherlock. And next and lastly, from what I get, I didn't really spend too much time in that area. Is Darksiders 2. I never played. Yes, I never played the original Darksiders, other than the fact it's focused around the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I think the first one was, what was it? Pestilence?
First one was War. First one was War. Second one was this next one.
Yes,
was
this
Death.
next one focuses on Death, and from the cover, he looks badass.
I tell you what, I think would be quite interesting is if they actually had Death as in the Sandman Death as one of the four horsemen in this. I think that would be awesome.
Ah,
Fortunately, copyright means that will never happen, but that would be amazing.
Of course, yeah. Yes. Sort of have Death run around snarking at everyone whilst beating them up with a sort of scythe umbrella of some kind.
But instead of Death being a terrifying, cosmic force, of Death being a friendly type person.
Yeah.
snarking everywhere.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so
Move.
that was the Manchester Con then.
Yes. Moving on. The last one we have to focus on now is the guest list. This is the final bit we need to focus on. True to
Okay.
fashion on their website, they got a whole bunch of guests. As usual, they always get the Merlin cast, the Knights. They got Tom Hopper
The
and
Hot Knights.
yes, and Rupert Young. They got those two this time. I think they had the entire cast of Young Dracula. I think it was all of them. I only saw a handful of them, but it was
That
definitely
was
them.
filmed at my school, you know.
Really?
Yeah, Young Dracula, the first 2 seasons. I don't know if it's still the case. I've not actually watched the show, but it was filmed at my school, and I was an extra in a couple of episodes.
Oh,
My school makes my money.
We have a celebrity Joe.
But I didn't get paid for it, which pissed me off. The first time they did the filming there, the school took the money, and then after loads of kids pointed it out that this was incredibly fair, when they came back the next year to film over the summer, the kids got the money directly. But by that point, I was 17 and therefore too old to be one of the child extras.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So yeah, that was mine. But yeah,
yes,
Young
we need
Dracula
to
was
dig up
filmed
these
at
old
my school.
episodes.
I don't know if it still is.
Yes, we
I can
have
actually
to
name some of the, some of the extras you see.
Cool.
I actually knew most of them.
Now we have to dig up the old episodes and embarrass you by pointing you out and look, that's what you looked like in your school years.
I walked past a door once. That was basically all I did. I wasn't one of the, extras who got a lot of screen time.
Oh, shame.
I was very awkward as a teenager.
Did you get any lines or anything, or were you just background?
No, if you're gonna have lines, that means you're like a professional extra, and so you have to be insured by an acting school.
I guess that makes sense.
It was one day we were filming like a giant party scene, and the older sister, Ingrid, is that her? The older sister who wears Emily the Strange boots, the semi-gothy one, walks in and shouts at someone, and they had to get a girl in from an acting school especially to say something like "but." We weren't allowed to say it.
You're not good enough to say "but."
Yeah.
Bless.
Yes, that's the showbiz world of
moving
DC.
Moving on from that, this confused the hell out of me because everyone knows if you're going to an expo, especially Marvel anime, whether you want to admit it or not, you're part of Geek Central. There's no denying that. You can't escape that. So it confused the hell out of me when we had sports guests showing up. We had ex-goalie Peter Shilton. We had Mike Summerby, Tony Book, and Colin Bell. And that was really bizarre in my opinion. Do any of you two know of anyone I just mentioned there?
Not a chance. No, I'm sorry. As much as I should know, I don't. No.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter, but anyway, it's just like, that's interesting in goal, and they had their own stand and everything, people were there for their autographs, but I was just like, that is very unusual for them to be in this particular expo. I think they booked the wrong guys and they got switched over somewhere, because I don't know why they were there.
Well, they did seem to be every time I went past that area, there were a lot of people queuing for their autographs, and they were signing shirts and so on. But I agree, it did seem quite unusual to me. I suppose because there are people who, collect sports things.
Well, maybe I'm just being biased. I mean, geeks can like football and all that's the good stuff. Yes. Finally, this is the last one. I was
Special, wasn't it?
I was sitting in the actual stand area, and they had the same commenter year after year, and I love this guy. I really do. You're not. He has such a way of talking. He's snarky. He likes to insult his audience, and you're not sure whether you should be laughing along with him or get up and punch him in the face. And I like this guy, and this was the one time I wasn't cheering at the top of my lungs to get out one of his freebies. I was just sitting there doodling in my notebook in my own little universe. And it was just like people were screaming, he was getting them worked up, and I was just like, oh dear God, I feel like my parents. And that was so funny. But yes, moving on, actually, if I could sidetrack one more time, what was amusing was in Telford, people scream for this guy. When he says something, he says we're about to introduce a person who's going to come up, we cheer, we love him, we like his material, we like his partner, which I don't think was there. At least I kept moving about, so I'm not sure if he was there or not. But yeah, here everyone was so dead. This guy was trying so hard to motivate these people just to give him a slight cheer, and it's just like, oh dear God, you people aren't even trying. I said cheer, and it's just like, oh, this guy is giving them everything, and they're just not interested. I felt so sorry for the guy. But yes, this is when he really had to pull out his trick card, because then this wasn't even listed in the actual website. He revealed this on the day. Coming all the way from America, everyone's favorite voice actor, Ed Elric himself, Vic Mignogna was there, and
No, that wasn't secret. That was on the website for ages. I know, because I hate Vic Mignogna.
Really?
Yeah, he's just a horrible person. You heard any of the stuff he said about gay people?
I should get my eyesight checked. Yes, I actually heard about my friends and like either people admit they love the characters he plays, but he's always so loud about his beliefs and the fact he's he's just complete homophobe. And I always found that interesting because I'm always looking up his works and I'm thinking, this is the guy who plays I need an example, Tamaki from Ouran Hose Club, and he's
does
like
it horribly.
yes, and
Oh,
I'm looking at
Tamaki, my baby.
yes, and I'm looking at it going, this guy is a professional voice actor. He does anime, and you're telling me he can't sense the gay subtext in any of Tamaki's lines when he's next to Kaguya? Because it's there. It's obviously there. I mean, why is he playing these characters then if we can clearly see the gay subtext?
Because Vic Mignogna desperately wants attention and also money. So if you notice the roles he took at his peak, a couple of years ago he was very, very, very popular. He was getting the leads in everything. He was cast in Ouran by his good friend Caitlin Glass, who voices, what's-her-face, Winry, in the Full Metal Alchemist dub. She also happened to be the voice director for Ouran High School Host Club and happened to cast herself as the main character, Haruhi Fujioka. But I cannot stand the Ouran dub. But Vic Mignogna was cast as 5D Flowrite in the Tsubasa anime, which is when my hatred for him truly began, because I'm a very big Clamp fan. I love Clamp so much. He was cast as 5D Flowrite, the very fabulous wizard, and then went around insisting a lot that there is nothing between the two male characters, Spy and Kuragane, nothing whatsoever, nothing at all.
But there was.
There was. He came up with the immortal line that when people point out that it's different in the manga, he shouted, "Well, I'm not doing the manga." Which, yeah, great respect for Clamp's work. Then he went on to claim that Clamp had told him personally that they'd never ever written a gay couple. Which, okay, let's go through Clamp's works.
Yes.
Toya and Yukito from Cardcaptor Sakura.
Yes, it wasn't in the anime as clearly, but it was there.
Yeah, though the anime is terrible anyway, but they then cast Vic Mignogna as Fi when his voice was completely unsuitable for it, and also his attitude was completely unsuitable for it. But that's why I hate Vic Mignogna. He's loudmouthed, he lies a lot, and then when you point him out on his lie, he takes it back. He has been known to, at conventions, refuse to sign things for people wearing Wiccan pendants or even Stars of David.
Oh, really?
He has been known to invite his 14-year-old fangirls back to his room. He's basically not a great guy. Also, and I'm offended that you mentioned him and not the most important guest star that was there.
Oh, whoopsie, my bad.
Warwick Davis! He was Willow. You have heard of Willow?
Oh, yes, I did see it. I did. I cannot believe I'm not mentioned. I've noted down everything except him. He's always at these things. I feel bad, and I'm going to slap myself on the wrist. Ow!
The guy who played R2-D2. Taking it on turns. But Warwick Davis is an absolutely wonderful actor. Was one of the original Ewoks, which don't hold that against him. George Lucas made those up, not him. But he was Willow in Willow, which was one of my favourite childhood films. But yes, I was going to get his autograph, but the queue was way too long, and I was very impatient, and also I was walking around with my girlfriend, a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, who were, like, related to the girlfriend. I didn't just pick those up.
Yes.
I just want you to know that there was a reason I was with those two children. But
We're not
anyway,
judging
yes,
you.
Mark Davis, very cool dude.
But yes, in that case, I do
Okay.
apologize. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe I actually forgot you. Actually, I do have a cute little bunch of doodles that I find very cute. I did a lot of cat faces and everything. So I'm gonna put my notebook aside now. That one is so cute. But yes, we officially mentioned everything in my notebook, Joe.
Okay, all right. So that's everything from the expo, I take
Mhm.
As
it.
far as I can remember, indeed, you made sure your name
Well,
beats me going.
one last thing I should probably mention. There was a competition going on where there was a lot of goodies going out. I think one of them was you had to sign up, play some sort of game. I think it was Darksiders 2. It could be something else if I am mistaken, and you could win a huge prize. I believe second place prize was just this really nice console. I didn't stick around to see what the first prize was, but it must have been very good. And the other one was the next to the art gallery was the illustration table where everyone. When I go to Telford, I'm always sitting down and there's always the Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh playing on the tables. This time it was all artists, and I think they were doing illustrations either for the fun of it or because there was a prize for the best one. But either way, everyone was having fun. Children were coloring in. There was a bunch of adults crudely trying to draw as well, and there were some very good illustrators there. I don't know, maybe they were looking for work, I'm not sure. But it all looks very nice and it all looks like a lot of fun.
Always, the
Fantastic.
artist alley was very lovely this year. Yes, I like
Okay,
to pimp out artist alley.
that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I think everybody needs to pimp out Artist Alley every
Yes,
time.
every time you
Um,
go to an expo, just look at the artist alley, and if you see something you like, do buy it, because I think if any working demographic in this world needs more money, it is artists. It is shitty to be an artist. So
hmm.
buy stuff from artists. That if you come away with one thing from this podcast today, it's that artists need money. Also, that
Yeah,
Hollywood is very racist.
apparently, yes.
Next. Okay, so I think that wraps it up about with the podcast. Just one thing, since I've been very quiet and very sort of taking everything in from the expo, there's one thing which I found recently, which might be quite interesting. Has anybody been watching the new Thundercats
I
iteration?
saw a handful of the first episodes and I missed a couple few. Then I saw this really sad one about the group when they're traveling with these bunch of leaf men, and the end of that episode made me cry. But no, I haven't. I haven't gone through the first season yet.
Mm.
I'm
Alice
afraid
at
it's
all,
one of the
or
things that I kept seeing on Tumblr and going, damn, I need to check that out. But considering only now have I started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm
Yes,
halfway through book 3. It's really amazing.
mm.
But
excellent.
It's
no, I haven't. But it's on my to watch list because the animation is absolutely
yeah.
stunning.
Anyway, I'm going to be including a link in the video description to a petition because apparently Warner Brothers in their infinite wisdom are going to be uh, either discontinuing the Thundercat stuff or they're not going to be giving it another season.
What?
So yeah, even though it sort of all ended on a fairly explicit cliffhanger. And so I'm going to be including a link in the description to a petition which people can sign, and which will have information about the new about sort of people wanting if they want a new season at all. It needs 10,000 signatures, though they've got 80,000 already. So yeah, just that extra little bit of a push will be welcome. Apart from that, I think we're done
If
for
I can have
today.
one, if I can have
So yeah.
one last word, if Thundercats can get a remake, I still think my Dungeons and Dragons can get a remake.
So
Mm,
support
I think
support
that's
this Thundercats thing, and maybe old cartoons with pretty good concepts but very 90s execution will also be remade.
Yes.
mm. Sooner or later, we'll get a grim and gritty and realistic Captain Planet. Joy.
Maybe. Anyway, sign petition.
Anyway, it's good night from me and good night from everybody else here, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.